Hello. It is Teresa Phelps Martin, and I am showing up live, surprise, and it's also being recorded to then share with you this moment. And I'm recording this at the moment that the sun and the moon sit together at 23 degrees of Aquarius. And what that means is that the two energies that dance in the celestial heavens are sitting together at the exact same moment. And astronomers would call this a new moon, and astrologers would call it a conjunction, where the two act as one, where the moon, the closest planetary object to us here on Earth, is being held in the unconditional radiance of the sun with the star story behind it of Aquarius, the water bearer, though it is it's not an earth, it is an air sign. It is that which gathers and spreads and shares. So anytime we have a new cycle, we're given this opportunity to have a new beginning and a new intention. And the sun radiates our purpose, it illuminates, it warms. And so we bring in the energy of this archetypal connection to that which gathers and then shares. And air energy is all about the intellect, consciousness, connection, mentality. Aquarian energy can be that energy of knowing all things in all forms, where we need to open ourselves up. But air energy is about collecting the knowing and dispersing it. So when we acknowledge the fact that we are energy that goes beyond our physical understanding, then we can feel a greater sense of support and receive that guidance. So before I go any further, I want to invite you to close your eyes with me. Connect to your breath, the expansion of your inhale and your exhale. And simply notice what all you're connecting to at any moment in time, but this moment in this time. Do you feel settled? Do you feel you've disconnected from your body and traveling through the astral plane? Do you feel lost or foggy, agitated, crystal clear, just noticing through the mind's eye, gathering the data of your inner world and realm? And then allowing the breath to expand, the inhale and the exhale. Allowing your awareness to come to your hips and to the earth. To lean into whatever material energy is come together and slowed down long enough to provide structure, like a wall or a blanket or a chair. Feel connected by breathing in and being aware. Even noticing the way your clothes drape over you. the fragrance. What sounds do you hear? Can you hear my wind chimes blowing outside of my own structure? Can you hear the whispers of the voices of humans living nearby you? What are you connecting to? What is your mind's eye focusing on? Is it worry, doubt, or uncertainty? Is it the simpleness of the breath in or the breath out? Are you like me and you can think many things at once but still be very present to the potency of peace? That when you redirect your attention, that peace can be expansive. And then 3 breaths, just acknowledging this time to realign and return to a sense of intention, of tuning in to your inner world and desires. And rather than seeking or searching, instead yielding. Let your 2 left fingers or right make peace fingers and just tap into your chest, all around your chest, to settle more fully into the practical perspective of the mind and the heart. Bring both hands together. Feel yourself re-entering by bowing your head, opening your eyes, looking into the palms of your own 2 hands. When we begin again and begin anew, it's not about manifesting and making things happen, but rather receiving the foundation of our own infrastructure, which requires us to understand our inner world and become more conscious and connected to it. It is not a journey of mandating we feel a certain way, but rather recommitting to living with more of a sacred connection. So when we have this signature of the archetype of a water bearer, it means that we've gathered and collected and can offer out into the world our own unique potential. There's a saying of the acorn that I learned in all of my studies of yoga. It's a very common connection in the world of yoga or mindfulness or awareness. The acorn seed, it holds the potential. The only thing the acorn seed can be is that oak tree. But that potential of that tree's uniqueness sits in the energetic imprint of the seed. So as we collect the connection to becoming more mindful, we give ourselves an intention for the season, of midwinter through the cycle of this lunar journey, which is interesting because we're really integrating in the connection to our heart of our individual self, the love and acceptance we hold within ourselves. Can we accept our unique offering? Can we love our own potential? Can we become self-conscious to become more true and intentional in our purpose? All of these things seem a bit esoteric or non-productive. However, when you become more committed to your sense of self, then you can generously offer from the wellspring of your own heart your contribution to the world that can show up in that simple offering of a smile, of grace, of compassion, of loyalty, of dependability. It doesn't have to be like the story I just read of Cecilia Payne of discovering what makes the universe. However, your contribution holds significance because you generate this energy back out, even if it means you're sitting at home doing your work, your growth. It offers an encouragement and inspiration to others. So what we want to do is recognize how this flavor has a signature in our own selves. You can look to your own astrological chart for more understanding of where does Aquarius sit in that outer circle. Because in that connection to being more you and more real and more true, to living more authentically aligned, we want to have a connection to our whole self. That includes the parts of us that are vulnerable, those parts of us that are challenged, that are difficult, as well as the areas that come with ease, that come naturally. And in that, our experiences of our lives as well. But when we look to the map of our own moments that we incarnated, that we received the breath and we crossed the threshold from being contained in our mother's womb to being here in this material world, it's quite the journey just right there. Then that horoscope, the zodiac that we can look to, we can actually look to that energy of Aquarius and where it sits in the outer part of our chart to help give us boundaries in that container to understand where we're offering from. You can also look at where Saturn, because Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius, and you can look to where Uranus is as well. And this will give it an area of focus of what it is that is unique. Here's the deal, everybody, whether you believe this or not, I'm just a practitioner of it, and it's a powerful tool to help enhance the ability to live where you feel good in your own body. You feel this connection to the breath, your sense of purpose, and how you can radiate into the world. So I'm going to do this one quickly. There are 12 houses, and each house holds its own filter of a sign. But we want to look at our own, where the energy is. So I'll just make it more simple, okay? It's wild because for whatever reason right now, I'm going to sidetrack and then I'll come back. It's just how I am. I remember being in college taking astronomy, and it made so much sense and I still can see Dr. Dukes, who was the head of the physics department at College of Charleston, standing on top of a lab table. He was probably 5'4", trying to get the room, because a lot of people took astronomy as the easy science class, and then they got into it and it wasn't easy because it's so much math and physics. And it just made so much sense. And I remember him jumping off the table to get people's attention and to demonstrate gravity, okay, and velocity and all these things. And I sat in the front row and I absorbed every nugget, and it made my mind like, wow, it made so much sense to me. And I remember he called me into his office to convince me that I should be a physics major. But I was rather full of myself and trying to find the easy way through life, and said, no way am I choosing a major that requires more hours in a lab. So anyhow, it's in me. It comes naturally, the scientific perspective. So when we think of this, we want to think of the fact that the constellations of the stars are actually fixed, and that our sun and earth and the planets dance with these stars as the backdrop. So if Aquarius sits on your rising sign, then you would look at Saturn or Uranus especially, okay? It sits right at the 9 o'clock hour of your astrological chart. And if you don't know what your chart is, you can ask me. Then you're going to really look at how you like to be unique, how you do you differently. And I'm going to go quick here. I'm not going in depth. This is not a course. If it sits in your second house, how does your connection and contribution to the world around you bring security, bring comfort? And it may even be how you make your money. If it sits on your third house, okay, this is like the area between 7 o'clock and 6 o'clock, if you think of looking at a clock, okay, then it's how do you connect with other people? Do you need to stand out? Do you need to be different? Do you need to feel that energy of your people and your environment and the way you learn to learn differently? Okay. If it's your fourth house, right? This is the 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock area of your chart. How do you need to live in a tiny home? Do you need to live in a village? What is your heritage? Are you full of people and connection to people who just do things differently, that you're very futuristic? Because Aquarian energy is very futuristic. It's technology, it's internet, it's astrology too. If it is your fifth house, which it is mine, so when it rules your fifth house, Aquarian energy, it is how you express, how you need to do things and bring love forward, where it's a little out of the box. It's non-traditional. If it's on your sixth house, it's really you do your daily life differently. Like your work is probably layered in with technology, being inventive. If it's in your seventh house, your house of relationship, then here's the deal. Here's the jam. You need a little quirky partner. Somebody who's just intellectual and forward thinking and a visionary. If Aquarius sits in your eighth house, that one's big. I know this one very well, not because of Aquarius, but I have 4 planets in the 8th house. This is transformation, and you might do transformation or dive into the deep waters, maybe by diving out into space and not going into water, but actually really like to be an astronaut, to travel beyond and to transform the way we experience and share our resources. If it's your 9th house, then you might be very into traveling spiritually and feeling this ability to explore other worlds and cultures and bringing that information in a way to teach it and share in the philosophy of life. If it is your 10th house, then you're probably very ambitious in the realm of being outside of the box, being a scientist, being a doctor, just where you are willing to continue to do the work, to show up and bring those creative ideas forward, even if you just feel this innate responsibility to bring those ideas forward. If it is your 11th house, then it is the super double potent, because this 11th house is the house of Aquarius. And so this energy is about networking with like-minded people and being in kind of this constant quest to feel the connection, to share hopes and dreams, to improve society, and be highly aspirational, where you are concerned with future generations, other people's children. You're like children's children too. And if it is your 12th house, it is kind of this energy of dissolving into the knowing that so much sits before us and being able to channel and bring those future visions forward. It can get a little out there and pretty eccentric in the 12th house. And this 12th house could be the energy that rules your rising sign, so do look at that too. So that is just it. Now, to just quickly finish up with this new moon, it's important to understand that the sun and moon are sitting here together at the same degree, at the exact same time, but a different degree. That the Venus, which is our inner world, our inner feminine energy, Carissa, you're in the 9th house. And in this energy of understanding our values, our desires, our way we relate, the way we keep the peace and fight for peace, because believe it or not, Venus is a fighter too. She's a major warrior. And it's sitting there with the energy of Jupiter, which is expansive. Mercury is in retrograde, so we are reevaluating and rethinking the way we do the technology of our life, okay? And it will be there until next week. And then also, we can feel this energy of Saturn, who is in charge of everything right now, is in charge of everything last year and still is now, is also here limiting our dreams. Although the technology and the downloads and the insights and the way to reevaluate and realign might be like a serious, like electric energy, there's a disruption of this. And the moon has just danced over. Pluto's still in Capricorn, but the moon just went and visited Saturn last week, and then Jupiter, and then Venus, and then Mercury, and then the sun. And the moon reflects. So, and the moon dances through a whole chart every month. So the moon goes and has conversations with all of these energies and reflects back. And it's how we can nurture these ideas, nourish them, because they're also being challenged by tradition. They're being challenged by how we like to go get things. I mean, think about it. We can't just go and do life the way we used to. It's different now. So be creative. Connect with like-minded people. It's not about going to war, but it is about breaking down the rules to reform, right? Because Aquarian energy is eccentric. It's about community. It's about connection. It's about future technology. It's about science. It's about medicine. Adoption falls into this category. right? Because we're taking in other people's children. Future generations comes into this. Being a revolutionary, a reformer. And so you want to look at where Uranus is also in your chart. And it's going to be a generational thing. So if you were born around the 70s, chances are it's in Scorpio. And what house it sits in will give an understanding. And then you want to look at Saturn and where your natal Saturn is. And I know I'm getting really technical right now, but look at that too, because there's a lesson here that we need to reconsider. So in that journey of Saturn, we want to reconsider kind of our life purpose. If you're Aquarian, you're going to have Saturn passing over your sun soon. And you want to really listen to the structure of you and be okay if it's not following a traditional path, and know that you have that strength. So tying this back into how do we relate with the new moon, it's just a feeling this subtle connection that you're not in this journey solo, that you are allowed to be nurtured and cared for. If you have a moon in Aquarius, you want to work on not being too aloof to how other people are feeling, and be curious and making the connection to your own feelings and your own creativity and your own offering. There's a lot of energy, Aquarian energy. So if you do have a rising, a moon, or a sun in Aquarius, insulate your nervous system, take care of yourself, ease up. If you need to disconnect, so that you can receive the wisdom. And when we work with a lunar cycle, at the end of February, we'll have a full moon in Pisces, which is, we'll have a full moon in Virgo, which is confusing because the sun will be in Pisces, but the moon is already headed, the moon went first. I don't know how to explain it because it's complicated, and I've already gotten pretty technical, more than I wanted to. So when we work with the energy of the moon, then we are reminded that as we work with our own soul's energy, the journey we're on, the vehicle we're traveling in, our body, and this container, then we can look at the way we're radiating this energy back out. And when we move into later in the month, we're going to move into some challenges of the way things were and the way we're being asked to evolve. So by connecting more fully into your own purpose and your own energy, Mercury is going to be retrograde until I think February 17th. So that's next week. And then it has to clear its shadow again. That's really confusing unless you get it. And once you learn it, you get it. At least that's how it is for me. And so no, you're not going to know how to articulate it yet. So don't get frustrated by that. But know that you're on a journey. And so let the intention for these next 28 days come to you, and let that intention be a little bit of a container for your own boundaries. And when we have clear boundaries, it doesn't mean that we are unable to adapt, but it allows us to kind of redirect when we get distracted. And when our nervous systems, a year ago, I really felt like anybody who was around me a year ago, my massage therapist even still laughs. I just I was overcharged, really, really, really intense. And so you want to ground, it's like that electric socket. If it doesn't have a grounding cord, right, it can fry the system. So ground yourself, insulate yourself, and know that that's part of what having an intention with a new moon is doing. It's not really about manifesting your desires, but it is about articulating your needs. I know that's kind of interesting. So join me in the journey and holding that intention that we can offer it up. And the moon is already done aspecting other planets until it moves into Pisces, I think this evening or tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. It's a 12-hour void of course time. And you really have an opportunity to recognize the transition we're in and all the changes that are coming, and be good to yourself. Because if you're good to yourself, if you can love in your own heart, accepting yourself wholly, allowing yourself, be a little self-indulgent so you can identify with what your challenges are and invite in more ease. We need both energies. I think it's really beautiful that the glyph or the symbol for Aquarius is the two squiggly lines, because all air signs hold the energy of the horizon, as well as, I'm not going there. I'm stopping right now. But there's parallels, okay? And you have these squiggly lines of up and down. And if you think of your nerves, they move, right? It's just not flat line. So we want to be able to do the dance, but not be so extreme that we're out of our bodies. But in that eccentric potential, there's only one of you. And that's what Aquarians love. But here's the other thing. Most Aquarians don't like to be told what to do. So you have got to trust in yourself. So if anything, use this intellect to get you out of your head and into your body and into your heart, so that you can reconnect with the individual love, so you can have it more for the collective, including the people who don't agree with you and do things differently. We all are human. We're all in this together. And the thing about Aquarian is it's all about the greater good. As the humanitarian contribution, it's just sometimes we feel a little bit kind of on our own and out of it because people don't get us. And so if we can get ourselves and be okay with our eccentric nature, then we can do the dance, right? We can ride the wave up and down and find other people to ride that up and down wave with us, right? I'm a Gemini, it's parallel this way. I'm a Libra rising, it's the setting sun on the horizon with that parallel of the physical plane as well. And then the Aquarian are the two lines. So our thoughts matter because they give us the energy to our lives. So ground your thoughts in the energy of knowing your truth, of loving yourself so we can love one another. And if you have to go the other direction, because you have Aquarian energy in you, and somewhere you're going to do things differently. That's just wherever Uranus is in your chart, you're doing it differently. And in doing it differently, you can own that beauty, and that's the gift that you bring forward. So thank you. This went a little longer than I wanted, but surprise, surprise, all this air energy, it's hard for me not to talk. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether you caught this live, I didn't tell you I was going to be live. So chances are you're watching the recording. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate not you listening to me, but you using this as a way to tune into you and trusting in yourself. Your light matters. We want to be able to shine it. We want to be a beacon to others, but we are all forging through new territory together. So please don't forget that. So I will show up again. I guess I will try to show up again with the Virgo full moon. And what this can kind of remind you of is integrate in the love of your own heart, the royalness of you. So you can see the royalness of humanity, so we can be in service. So we can really integrate how we don't sacrifice ourselves, because that's what being sacred used to be, but really to feel the connection that we all start in the same place and end in the same place. Mwah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will catch you again next time. Bye.